Hello, everyone. I'm very excited today. We have a great agent here from Utah, Matt Evans. My name is John Sullivan. I am the ambassador for the Mike Ferry Organization, and welcome to Mike Ferry's podcast. So, Matt, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to see you, John.
Yeah, it's great seeing you too. I mean, this might be pretty lighthearted because we've known each other for over 10 years now. I think I met you and your brother Dan at probably my first event, and with the close proximity between Vegas and Utah, we've kept in close contact. So tell us a little about yourself, goals for 2026, and also what market you're in and where people can send their referrals to.
Yeah, no, that's great. So a quick introduction to me. I've been in real estate for 32 years. I started when I was 22. Jean Tanner, right? She's been around for a minute. I started working for her as her secretary, then moved to buyer agent. Then my brother and I formed a team in 2001. And we just stayed at the company. She allowed us to essentially form a team under the Summit Realty umbrella. And we've been here ever since. So we continue to work together.
So I love Jean. I look up to her so much. I knew she was your broker now, but I never knew you worked for her back then. So how did you even get in the business?
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I was going to a local college, Utah Valley University. Back then it was Utah State College or Utah Valley. Anyway, it formed the acronym of SUCK. So, I mean, it wasn't the best. But anyway, I was there. I needed a job. I looked on a board. She was looking for a secretary. So I applied for the job and got it.
Wow.
And, while I was working there, her buyer agent quit about 1 month after I hired in. And Jean made a pitch. You want to be a buyer agent? I was like, sure. And within about a year, I dropped out of college. And I'm like, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by how did everyone get involved with Mike Ferry's organization, with Mike himself. I imagine now it came directly from Jean.
It didn't, right? Like, it was Jean. Jean was introduced to him by an agent named Bill Telford. He goes way back. She went there. She liked him. She suggested I go. I went, and Matt and Tom, they spoke for the very first time at the event that I was at. And I was so full of myself. I was like 23, 24. And I'm like, these guys suck, just whatever. And then I disappeared for a few years. The business taught me a lesson or two. I was open and more humble and willing. I came back and Matt and Tom were speaking at that event. And they either my perception had changed, but I think more likely they had just dedicated themselves to the craft. They were amazing. And at that point, I saw the difference from unskilled or less skilled and uncoached. And they talked very openly about the coaching they'd had and what they'd done. That right there sold me on the process. I'm like, wow. So, and then I've been with them ever since, 99, 2000.
So why were you humbled, right? Like what happened in that time? And was it a big decision to come back to Mike Ferry Organization and then sign up for coaching?
Yeah. Well, the coaching part is once I saw the Matt and Tom kind of transformation, that sold itself. I'm like, I get it. And they're a little older than me, but we're close enough in age that I identified with them. And I thought, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. And I don't do it at the level that they do, right? But the principle that it was the same. But yeah, what humbled me is just this can be a hard business, right? And it's the late 90s. I was finding myself and had a bunch of sales fall apart. I had people who were difficult all the time. And I'm like, I hate this business. I want out. And then I started looking at my options, go back to school, all this. And I realized any business I got into would have the things that I hate. I'm going to have to be accountable. I'm going to have to produce. I'm going to have to deal with customer service. Sometimes your paycheck comes in, sometimes it doesn't. With commission sales, we're aware when it doesn't come in. At
Absolutely.
A regular other job, you get laid off with no notice. So once I realized that, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to double down. And I've had other similar moments like that. And where I sit today, I feel like I'm kind of starting the business for the first time, and I'm more in love with it than ever before. I really enjoy myself.
So it seems right now you've got a lot of momentum going in, and your situation's interesting because you've got 6 other siblings. That's correct?
Yeah, it's correct. I'm the oldest of 7.
7 of you. I know your brother Dan. Obviously, you guys are on a team together, but you just made me aware too that now your sister. So 3 out of the 7 now work together. So
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting to have your family work with you. Probably some days pretty annoying, right? So tell me about the team setup, who does what, and what is the goal for the team this year?
Yeah, the goal this year for the team is 150.
Okay.
Our high point was 180. There are 4 active agents, and then my brother and I, so 6 of us total, all
Okay.
full time. We feel like we have the capacity to do 200, 250. We're not there yet, right? But you asked our goal, right? Where we sit today, we're on track for 140. We had a slow start.
Okay.
So the way that the business works, they're not buyer agents, they're team agents. So we encourage our agents to list and to represent buyers, so both, and we train them in both. And then my brother and I mainly work with a rare buyer here or there.
And you guys deal with I always thought Utah was a relatively inexpensive place to live, but then every time I talk to your brother, he's like, I just sold a $7 million house. So you guys deal with some high-end properties in Utah.
Yeah, Dan has developed that part of our business, the high-end part. So, Dan, I think would rather stab himself in the face than take a listing less than, like $1 million, $2 million. I mean, he just took a $400,000 listing, so that you can't take it literally. Like he's there for his clients, but he has opened up the high-end for us for sure. I'd still say our average, if you remove his 7 million, 6 million, that sort of thing, our average is probably closer to 500,000 or 600,000.
Okay. And now I'm thinking of people like Jim Bim, right, who are teaching his 2 sons to be in the business. There's actually quite a few kind of brothers and siblings within the Mike Ferry organization. It's kind of, it's not happening all the time. So give people some advice if they're in that situation, right? If you work with your family or work with your brother, how is that being business partners and then also doing business together, but also being family?
Yeah, I really can only speak to our situation, right? Before I began in real estate, I worked for my uncle's company, and his was a family company. It was his father started it. Actually, his grandmother started it. It was a lingerie company out of Texas, actually. So kind of different for a Mormon kid. But I was with them for a while, for about 2 years, and so I saw kind of the family dynamic there. So when my brother approached me in 2001 wanting to get in the business, I kind of had that as a model. And what I admired that they did is they kind of, work and regular life were blended together. So it wasn't very rigid of like, this is work and we don't talk business ever. So that part bled over. That's one part. Probably the harder part, to be honest, is sibling dynamics. Like I'm the oldest, Dan's 7 years younger than me. That's a I wasn't always the nicest older brother, right? When we were little. So working through that, I'm really fortunate. And Dan is, he works hard on himself. He takes good feedback. I have become much more open to feedback, and that's kind of the key to making it work, is being able to kind of listen to each other and make adjustments to make it easier for the other.
Got it. Well, I've always loved your honesty, and I would say you're an open book, right? If things are great, you're going to say that, but if things aren't, and before we started this conversation today, I said, how's business? And you said, you know what, kind of slow. And I would say there's more agents out there in North America right now who not just need the Mike Ferry organization or need Mike's system, who have had a slow start and are trying to get it going. But it seems like you're really building momentum now. And Mike's also taught us that in a 12-month year, like we're not going to do the same amount of sales every month, right? There's going to be maybe 2 really good quarters or 3 good quarters and maybe 1 down quarter. What made you snap out after the first slow quarter, the first Q1, which you mentioned? What did you do to get out of that slump?
Most agents scroll. Top agents study. Follow Mike Ferry on all platforms and think like top real estate agents do.
Number one was just recognize it. Like, hey, this isn't like a bad week or 2. It's 8 weeks. It's been bad. We need to do something different. And so that's one part. The other part, Mike always talks about the accumulation effect, right? And something that all of us on our team do is always filling our minds with positive things. And so that was happening always, right? So that didn't change. So when I looked at it, like, why aren't we doing business? even though every day we're priming the pump, every day we're exercising. My brother and I are very diligent that way, right? And my sister as well. And I would say everyone on our team. I think, I don't know, the difference I made is I thought, okay, if you believe it, if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. We weren't achieving it, therefore we must not be believing it. Okay. So we started looking at our goals, started saying, okay, are these real or not? Then if we have the capacity to do it, why aren't we doing it? Do we believe we can do it? So we just started talking about belief. Every day we were in 5 counties. And so I look at it, I'm like, well, today 50 properties went under contract. One day, 50. For all of us to hit our goals, we don't even need 50 in a day, right? We just, one each, right, is great. So we began looking at hope, possibility, and then consistently doing that. That's one part.
Who's your coach now with the company?
Kevin Eldred.
Okay, so is Kevin been helping you through this process as well? And how much of a positive impact has he been on? Because I don't think we talk about it enough, how important those weekly coaching calls are. I mean, for me, I've got a great coach, Mitch Jaboyan. Those weekly calls are like, I will never miss anything on that schedule for that call. When you're in a slump, the Mike Ferry Organization really steps up.
I would agree. Kevin is just a font of wisdom. He's very accomplished in his own right. So one part is business accountability, but I don't know, man. We've done this so long and we track our numbers every day. We have a group text that we all check in every day. What's a win? Where's your contacts? So I won't say that that's a large part of what we talk about. Because that's what we're doing it. I understand the necessity of daily accountability. So what we're focused on is, okay, how do I handle these people? How do I handle this sales situation? How do I handle my head? And he's got great advice, and he's pulling from all the agency coaches, and he'll connect us with each other. So I'll reach out to these other agents and talk to them as well. So it's invaluable.
So then you don't feel like you're on an island because other people are going through similar situations. So when you had a slow start to the year, was it schedule related? Was it actions related? And what does your daily schedule look like now as a high producing agent in Utah?
Yeah, the form is always there. We have great accountability for show up and prospect in the morning, take your break in the afternoon, go on appointment or in the noon, and then appointments in the afternoon, evening. So it's for me, what I've noticed the difference is intention. If I'm not very intentional, like I'm getting my appointment today, I'm getting my listing today. That for me didn't turn on until probably mid-May. From I began the year strong, January, February, but my intensity wasn't there. Michael Jordan's Last Dance?
Yes.
Yeah. So how he had that edge where he would just like make it personal and he'd be like really intense. That was what I wasn't doing when I wasn't seeing the results. When I added that piece to everything else I'm doing, that's when I saw it.
So you were doing the opposite to what Mike teaches us. He tells us not to watch the news.
Oh yeah, no, he tells it, and it goes in this year and out my eyes, and I'm watching the news. It's exactly. It's a bad habit.
What's your greatest strength as a realtor, as an agent?
My greatest strength, what it has been is consistency. I'm very reliable and consistent.
Okay.
Where it is now, what I've added to that is belief. One of my coaches had said to me, and this is actually more a mentor than a coach, not Kevin, even though Kevin set a form of this, is if your production is up and down, that's a belief problem. That's if you're doing the actions right and you're doing the things and you're still seeing up and down, that's a belief problem. We diagnosed that about 2 years ago. And so 2 years ago, in the last 2 years, I have just attacked my beliefs about life, about money, about myself, about success. And as we've built those and strengthened those, that is my new strength. And it's becoming a superpower.
And then I imagine every time you go to one of Mike's events, because I know you guys go to all the events, obviously we all know the importance of the superstar retreat, the production retreat, trying to see Mike at some other times as well, and all the daily messages. I imagine when you're sitting in that room with all these superstars, it's probably pretty powerful for you as a team. When you get back on that Monday morning after a retreat, I imagine you guys are all in and everyone's on those phones, setting those appointments.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of excitement in our daily check-in, that group text. That's huge because, it's not just the numbers, it's cheering each other on and it's celebrating the wins. So that part's there. And yeah, the Mike Ferry's a boost. I remember I had a chance to talk to Mike once, and he's mentioned from the stage that, like one of his years early in his career as a speaker, I think he spoke like 370, 380 times. It was more times than there are days in a year, right?
Yeah.
And you knew that he took off Sundays. So I asked him, how did you keep your head in the game? That's a lot. And he said on his flights, he would just pound his head with positive stuff. And I've tried to take a page from that, right? Especially the last 2 years. And then share that with my team.
So you've worked with Mike a long time. What are some other things that you've learned directly from Mike that maybe he hasn't even spoke about on stage? I mean, I know from being around Mike and Sabrina, sometimes the biggest lessons I've learned from them have been random. It could be at the golf course having lunch or, just a quick conversation. And we all pick up these things from him. Like once to me, he said, we're on the golf course and he said to me, if you can control your health, the cleanliness of your home and your money, your life is going to be great. And it was just random. It was just out of nowhere. Like what other things have you learned from Mike? Because I know I wouldn't be here at this stage of my life without Mike and this company. And I know that you and Dan feel the same way. And I know that you're passing his wisdom down to your team members. And Gene's passed it down to you. And Gene is just a fantastic representation of the company too. What else have you learned from Mike?
Yeah, no, you kind of nailed it, right? Gene, I've learned a ton from her, and she's aligned to herself with a lot of Mike. Probably, and I honestly, I don't. How do you disentangle 26 years of influence and say, oh, I came up with this? So much of it has become who I am, right?
Yeah,
and it came from him. I can tell you one thing where I'm very clear on where I got it from, and it changed the way I look at it. What I realized, I then made a connection between the scripts that he's created and his ability as a salesperson. That's been the biggest thing I've learned from him is as a salesperson. He is a consummate salesperson. And when I realized, okay, that's what's in those scripts, I had avoided the scripts forever because I just thought I don't need those other words. Once I adopted the scripts, it changed everything about sales for me to where I love the business. So I'm the dummy that sat Mike Ferry for probably 15, 20 years without really taking in the scripts. Wow. I knew things here or there, but I was like, I can do it on my own, da-da-da-da-da. And I got okay results, right? But in wanting to really go up to the next level, man, those scripts are brilliant. And there's a whole world of sales training in those scripts. And I'm discovering things all the time. That, to me, is the gold of Mike Ferry that will outlive him, quite frankly, and in all of us, right? Anyway, so that's what I've crystallized from it.
I mean, I said to Mike and Sabrina at dinner a few weeks ago that the scripts were written 51 years ago, but I believe they're more relevant than ever. People need human interaction more than ever because everything is so quick and on the phone now. You've talked about your struggles at the start of the year. I love that you're now coming through this and now you're building momentum from May. What is really working for you? What lead sources are working for you? And what are your biggest strengths within the business right now in terms of taking that intention and turning it into sales and income? Because a lot of people watching this today, we need to make more money, right? That's why, this is a business. So how have you've now come out that first quarter, which wasn't great. You now got the momentum. We obviously don't want to lose the momentum. Yeah. What's the next 2 to 3 months going to look like to build you up for the rest of the year in 2027?
Yeah. So in terms of lead sources, our past clients in Sphere are huge. That's like 73, 74% of our business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's huge. So we're talking to them every single day. And those are fun calls. I role play with Vicky Blair out of Elko. And she's like a master at that. And so I've learned a ton from her about how to handle my people. Next to that, now we're talking smaller percentages. Sign calls are huge. Like we get a lot off our signs. Just listed, just sold. That's a really good source of business for us. Just sold especially. And expireds and FSBOs, where we've seen more success is actually going to the door. So we have something we track every day, a stop by. And I think Dan got that from Ann Baker's coach. I know Kevin had recommended it to me as well. It's not novel advice, but it's not easy, right? But once you're in the habit of fitting in every day, we're getting, probably a handful of listings a year from just knocking on doors, just during the day.
Wow.
Stop by.
It seems like you're an aggressive, I know you're aggressive directly. I know Dan's aggressive, but it seems like as a team, you're very aggressive in terms of going out to get business.
Yeah.
But then we're also surrounded by people who do 200 deals on their own with no team. So
Right.
the goal for the Evans team, what is 5 years going to look like for you guys? Where are you guys going to be in 5 years as the price point's going to continue to go up in your market because of, all the tourist activity there as well?
Yeah. I mean, we're focused on the numbers, right, of deals done rather than volume. Because if we focus on numbers, right, that's growing because, as you mentioned, the area is growing and prices are going up. And Utah is constrained between two mountain ranges, right, which is keeping prices up. We have the buildable land area of Vermont, believe it or not. Just there are so many federal lands in Utah.
Okay.
So that's going up and up and up. I would love to see us at 500.
Wow.
That's, as Dan and I have talked, how to get there and to get there profitably, right? And to get there sanely. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a 200 deal a year guy. I know some of those people. I mean, you're one of those people, right?
Not quite 200, but the transactional that you mentioned there is really important because we've all rode the wave from COVID, right? Prices went up. We made more money, but did we actually improve? And what I've seen within the organization of talking to agents and Mike and Sabrina, people like Tony Smith, my coach Mitch, is now we're realizing we got to increase our skill set. And it seems like you're really focusing on your skill set right now. I mean, these daily check-ins you're having, the role play and practice, it seems like you guys are fully focused, and it seems like you personally are fully focused on getting to that 500 deals. I think you can make it happen.
Yeah, I do too. That's the hope. I mean, I've always been so impressed when you came here from England, an entirely different kind of system, and boom, you're hitting 100 deals a year and moving forward. What made the difference for you?
If you can't make it in America, you can't make it anywhere. I will tell you now that, and I'm being honestly serious there, the real estate industry to me doesn't make any sense. Where I come from, you sell a house, you pay 1%, every deal is double-ended. If you have the listing and someone wants to buy it, they have to come to you. Not just the real estate industry sometimes doesn't make sense. The Mike Ferry system and sales system and the company doesn't make sense to me because the fact that we are so lucky to have Mikes in our place. If we didn't have Mike, what would we do? So for me, when I got into this system and I met Mike and I met these people, I was like, I wish I would have met Mike in my football career when I was playing in England, because he doesn't just teach us about life. He teaches about discipline. He teaches about looking after your health. He teaches about getting up every day and having a goal. He teaches about having vision boards where you want to go get that car. Well, there's the car. Look at it every day and get to that point. So I think for me, as an industry, we should really be more appreciative of where we live, the opportunities we have. Mike tells you not to watch the news for a reason, right? Because not everything in America is bad, right? So I would say for me, that was the journey I was on, and obviously not trying to dominate the call here, but I think we've all got to realize that we're in an industry where we can make millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands. It doesn't matter. I think the problem Mike has is when you say you want to make 700, but you're making 200. Now, if you say you want to make 200 and you make 200, Mike's going to be your biggest cheerleader. But I think we've got to be a bit more accountable to our goals. A bit like, hey, I want to do 100 deals. Are you prepared to do what it takes to get to 100 deals? So I think for me, it's like we don't realize the opportunity we have. Just like right now, we don't realize how lucky we are to be in Mike's presence. I mean, I've only been with Mike for 10 years. You've been with Mike for 23 years. Is that right?
No, closer to 26.
26
so 2000
years.
is where I started coaching.
We need to get every bit of information out of this guy we can. Every bit of information. You got a question, what would Mike do? Pick up the phone and call him. And that's where Mike's company for me is just outstanding, that it's very rare to be part of a company where you actually have access to the main person.
Right.
So that's my little rant and kind of response about, you know, moving from England to here. And I just feel very blessed that we're in this, you know, country, but also feel extremely grateful that Mike created this company, because he has created more millionaires in real estate than anyone else.
It's true. It's really true. So what I heard you say, I mean, at least the piece that I'm taking, is that for you, probably the foundation of what you're doing is a sense of gratitude and blessedness for an opportunity to do what you're doing. Is that right?
Yeah, and also this could go away at any time, right?
Right.
And I think most jobs get easier every year. I actually think real estate gets harder every year because we set bigger goals. So
True.
for me, on December 31st, when I wipe out my sales goals, right, and then I create new ones and they're bigger, January 1st can be so daunting. You're like, how am I going to get there? What are we going to do here? But then you get to the production retreat in either Las Vegas or, you know, California, and then you get motivated. And then you come to the superstar retreat and you're like, I can do this. I'm on track. You know, I've had a slow start, but I can get there. And then you get to the event in Florida in September. Okay, I'm going to finish strong and I'm going to start 2027 strong. So Mike and the system and the company don't let us get complacent. If we get complacent, it's because we're getting too influenced by too many people. So I'm very passionate on that if we have tunnel vision and we follow Mike, we can hit our goals and we can exceed our goals. So for me, it's a big deal. It's a big deal that we have Mike. And I think we're very, very, very lucky that Mike created this company, because he would have been successful at anything he did. You know what I mean?
It's true. Absolutely.
And yeah, there's some other coaches out there that have done some great things. But for me, no one's had a big impact on people like Mike has. And he's 81. He's still doing it. Let's listen to the guy, you know? So that's what my advice is. Obviously, sorry, this is about you today, Matt, but
it is, but I asked you the question, and this is an opportunity for me as well. So thank you.
No, anytime. No, I love that, man. I love this company and everyone part of it. So it's July. We're 2026. First half of the year is down. It sounds like you've had one poor quarter, one good quarter. What is your advice for the agents out there now who have had a slow start but can still hit their goals for 2026 leading into 2027? One piece of final advice.
So with my agents, what I'm saying right now is get more curious, right? Which gives you better conversations, and better conversations are going to lead to contracts signed.
Okay. So get more curious. Dive into that a little bit more. Like, give me some examples of that.
So we role play it, right? You know, you're role playing through like talking to a for sale by owner, and they tell you that they're going to move somewhere, right? Well, where are you moving to? Why are you moving there? What's that about? Get a little interested. I was role playing with Dan this morning, and it's like, well, you're building a new home. Tell me about the home. Who's your builder? What's the experience? Just that little bit extra allows the sales part of it to feel more natural rather than I'm just pushing. So you obviously know the scripts and you're very good at the scripts, but do you do some underlying questions within the scripts too? Oh, without question. Yes.
Yeah.
To me, the scripts are a structure and a framework. And if I have a couple questions outside of it, great. I know what I'm going back to, and I know where my goal is to set an appointment or get a contract signed. And I love that structure.
Okay. So listen, thank you for your time today, Matt. Everyone, get more curious. Okay. Let's take Matt's advice. Thank you again for today, Matt. It was great speaking with you. The time flew by, but congratulations on getting out your slump. Let's not get there again, and let's try and make this your biggest year ever. So from everyone, thank you, Matt. Thanks for joining us today. And everyone, thank you for listening to Mike Ferry's podcast.